Can I tell you about the worst Tuesday of my life?
Please.
It was my third day in a new city, new country. I didn't know anyone. I had one suitcase, a phone with 40% battery, and an address written on a piece of paper. And I needed to take the bus.
Okay.
Simple, right? Take the bus. I'd taken buses my whole life. But I stood at that bus stop for, I am not exaggerating, 45 minutes. Because I couldn't read the schedule. I didn't know which number to take, and every time I tried to ask someone, they'd answer so fast that I just smiled and nodded and understood absolutely nothing.
The smile and nod. The international language of, I have no idea what you just said.
The smile and nod. Which, by the way, led to me getting on completely the wrong bus, ending up 20 minutes in the wrong direction, and crying quietly in a seat next to a very confused elderly man who kept offering me biscuits.
Did you take the biscuits?
I took every single one. I was too tired to say no.
And I think, if you're listening right now, if you have ever arrived somewhere new, somewhere where the language is a wall and the streets are a maze, and you feel completely, utterly invisible, you already know exactly how Lucy felt at that bus stop.
This episode is for you, for every person who moved to a new country and felt like they disappeared for a while, who smiled and nodded their way through the first month just trying to survive, who lay in bed at night thinking, "What have I done?"
We see you, we hear you, and today, we are giving you the English that nobody gave us when we needed it most.
Welcome back to Calm English Company. I'm Lucy.
And I'm Tom. Let's talk about the first month. All right, let's be honest about what the first month in a new country is actually like. Because nobody tells you the truth before you go. They say, it'll be an adventure, and you'll love it, and it'll be fine.
And it is fine. Eventually. But the first month?
The first month is a completely different story. And I want to name some things that happen, because naming them makes them less frightening.
The first thing that happens is what I call the volume shock. You land. You're exhausted from the journey, and suddenly, everything around you is loud, with a language you don't fully understand. Not loud in volume, loud in your brain. Because your brain is trying to process every single sound and word and sign and announcement all at once.
And it's exhausting in a way you cannot explain to someone who hasn't felt it. You can sleep for 10 hours and still wake up tired, because your brain never truly switches off. It's always half listening, half translating, half monitoring.
The second thing is the shrinking feeling. At home, in your own language, you have a personality. You're funny, you're confident, you have opinions. But in those first weeks in a new country, you become smaller, quieter. You stop trying to make jokes because you're not sure they'll land. You stop sharing opinions because you don't have the words yet.
And the people around you, your new colleagues, your neighbors, the cashier at the supermarket, they don't see the real you. They see this quiet, hesitant version. And you know it. And that gap between who you are and who you appear to be is one of the loneliest feelings in the world.
The third thing, and Tom, you know this one well,
The supermarket crisis.
the supermarket crisis. Every single person who has moved to a new country has had a supermarket crisis. When you go to buy something completely normal and you cannot find it, you don't know what it's called, you can't read the labels, and you stand in an aisle for 10 minutes holding a bottle of something that might be cooking oil or might be fabric softener, and you genuinely cannot tell.
I once bought what I thought was yogurt. Ate a whole bowl of it before I realized it was sour cream.
How did it taste?
Like a mistake. It tasted like a mistake.
Okay, but here's the important thing. Every single one of these experiences, the bus stop confusion, the shrinking feeling, the yogurt that was sour cream, they are not signs that you made the wrong choice. They are not signs that you can't do this. They are signs that you are doing something genuinely brave. And brave things are hard at the start, every time.
Coming up, the 4 most terrifying English situations in the first month abroad. And the exact phrases that get you through each one safely. Lucy has a story about a doctor's appointment that went completely sideways, and it will make you feel a lot better about your own worst moments. Stay with us.
Okay, 4 situations. These are the ones that come up in the first month and feel the most frightening. And for each one, we're giving you a phrase that works, that is safe, that will get you through.
Situation 1. Someone speaks too fast and you don't understand. This happens every single day in the first month. Someone at a shop, an office, a station, they say something and it's gone before you could catch it. And the panic sets in.
Most people in this moment do one of 2 things. They either smile and nod and hope for the best, or they say, sorry, over and over until both people are frustrated.
Here's what you say instead. I'm so sorry. Could you slow down just a little? English is my second language, and I want to make sure I understand correctly.
This phrase does something remarkable. It immediately changes the other person's behavior. Most people, when they understand you're working in a second language, slow down, speak more clearly, and become more patient. Because now they understand. You're not being difficult, you're being careful.
And the phrase, I want to make sure I understand correctly, that last part, makes you sound thoughtful and professional, not confused.
Situation 2. At a government office, bank, or official place. These are the worst. The vocabulary is technical, the stakes feel high, and the person behind the desk often has a very specific script they follow. And if you derail it, they don't know what to do.
Here's your survival phrase. I want to make sure I'm doing this correctly. Could you write down the key steps for me?
Asking them to write it down serves 2 purposes. 1, you get a physical reference you can translate later. 2, it slows the whole interaction down to a pace you can follow.
And most officials are actually very willing to do this. They want you to get it right as much as you do. Situation 3. At the doctor, pharmacy, or hospital. This is the one that scares people the most, because the stakes are real. Your health, your family's health. And medical English is full of technical terms that even intermediate speakers struggle with.
Here are 2 phrases, one for explaining, one for understanding. For explaining, I'd like to describe my symptoms as clearly as I can. Please stop me if something isn't clear. For understanding, could you explain that in simpler terms? I want to make sure I follow the instructions exactly.
And if you're ever truly unsure, can I have this in writing so I can look it up later?
No doctor will refuse that request, and it could genuinely be important.
Situation 4. When you need to ask for help from a stranger. This one sounds simple, but it's not. Because in a new country, asking a stranger for help requires understanding their answer, which often leads to more confusion. And there's always this fear of taking up too much of someone's time.
Here's what you say, and notice the structure. Excuse me, I'm sorry to bother you. I'm a bit lost and my English is still improving. Could you help me with specific thing? I really appreciate it.
The words, "My English is still improving," those 5 words completely change the dynamic. The person is no longer wondering why you seem confused. They understand. And most people, most genuinely, want to help when they understand the situation. Coming up, Lucy's doctor story, the one she's never fully told on this podcast. And after that, the 10 phrases that cover every situation in the first month. Phrases that real people use. Phrases that will make you feel, for the first time, like you can handle this. Back in a moment. Okay, Lucy, the doctor story.
All right. So, this was about 2 months into living abroad. I'd been managing okay, getting by, and then I got sick. Nothing serious, just a bad throat infection, but bad enough that I needed to see a doctor.
And you went alone?
I went alone because I didn't want to ask for help. I kept thinking, I'm an adult, I can do this. Other people manage this every day. Which is true, but other people had been speaking the language for 20 years.
Right.
So I get to the clinic, and the receptionist asks me a question that I half understand. Something about insurance, I think. And I say yes, because I think that's the right answer. And she types something and points me to a waiting room.
Okay so far?
So far, I wait for maybe 30 minutes. The doctor comes out, lovely woman, very warm, and she starts asking me questions. And I'm following about 60%. I answer what I can. And then she says something and writes something down and hands me a prescription. And I say thank you and I leave.
What was on the prescription?
That's the thing. I didn't fully understand. I went to the pharmacy, I gave them the prescription, they gave me 4 different boxes of things. I went home. I looked at them, and one of them, I was convinced, was something I was allergic to. The packaging looked exactly like something I'd had a reaction to before.
Oh no.
And I sat on the floor of my kitchen with these 4 boxes, and I didn't know who to call. I didn't have a doctor I trusted yet. I didn't want to call my family because I didn't want them to worry. And I cried. Really, properly cried.
What did you do?
I called the pharmacy back, and I said, very slowly, very carefully, I'm sorry. I need to ask you something important about this medication. Could you explain what it is and what it does? I'm not sure I understood correctly, and I want to be safe.
And?
And the pharmacist was wonderful. She went through everything, box by box, explained what each thing was for. And the one I was worried about? Completely different medication. I was fine. I took everything correctly, and I was better in a week.
But the moment before you called, sitting on the kitchen floor.
That's the moment I think about when people tell me moving abroad is glamorous. It is, it can be, but there is also a kitchen floor moment. And everyone who has truly done it knows about the kitchen floor moment.
The moment when you are completely alone with a problem, and the language is a wall between you and the answer.
And what I want to say to everyone listening who has had their own kitchen floor moment is this. You are allowed to ask for help. In broken English, in slow English, in one word at a time English. Nobody expects you to be perfect. They just need you to try.
And trying, actually trying, is the bravest thing you will do in that first month. Coming up, 10 phrases. Not just survival phrases. Phrases that will make you feel like you belong. Phrases for the moments when you need more than just getting by. When you want to actually connect with the country you chose to live in. Don't go anywhere. All right, 10 phrases. These cover the full emotional and practical range of the first month. Print them, save them. Screenshot this episode at 14:30.
Phrase 1. The universal reset button. I'm sorry, could you repeat that more slowly, please? I'm still learning English. Use this anywhere, anytime, without apology in your heart, even if the words say sorry. This phrase is your right. Use it as many times as you need.
Phrase 2. When you understand the words but not the meaning. I understood the words, but I'm not sure I understood the meaning. Could you explain it differently? This is a more advanced version of asking for repetition. It tells the person, I'm paying attention, I'm trying, I just need a different angle.
Phrase 3. Asking for written confirmation. Could you write that down for me? Or send it by email? I want to make sure I have it correctly. Use this for appointments, addresses, instructions, anything important. Written English gives you time to translate and verify. Never be embarrassed to ask for it.
Phrase 4. At a shop when you can't find something. Excuse me, I'm looking for... I'm not sure what it's called here. Could you help me find it? The phrase, I'm not sure what it's called here, is brilliant because it acknowledges the vocabulary gap without making it a big deal. People will often take you directly to the item.
Phrase 5. When you've been given information you don't fully understand. Thank you. Before you go, could I just confirm, you're saying that I need to... your understanding? Is that right? Summarize back what you understood. If you're right, they'll confirm. If you're wrong, they'll correct. Either way, you walk away with the right information.
Phrase 6. Making your first connection with a neighbor or colleague. Hi, I just moved here recently and I'm still finding my feet. Is there anything I should know about the till finding my feet? This is a beautiful, natural English expression that means you're new and still adjusting. And asking for local knowledge immediately positions you as someone humble and curious, which people respond to warmly.
Phrase 7. When you need extra time to process. That's a lot of information. Could you give me a moment to make sure I've understood everything? In official situations especially, giving yourself permission to pause is important. Nobody will rush you if you say this clearly and calmly.
Phrase 8. Asking for a recommendation from someone local. I'm new here and still discovering things. What's your favorite in this area? This phrase does something magical. It turns a transactional exchange into a real conversation. The person goes from cashier or receptionist to local expert, and local experts love to share.
Phrase 9. For the hard emotional days, when you need to be honest with someone. I'm going to be honest, today has been a bit overwhelming. I'm still adjusting to everything here. You don't have to pretend you're fine. You don't have to perform confidence you don't feel. Saying this to a kind colleague or new acquaintance opens a door. And behind that door, most of the time, is someone who either went through the same thing or someone who genuinely wants to help.
Phrase 10. For the moment when something finally clicks. I've been here now, and I feel like I'm finally starting to find my rhythm. Save this one, because the day will come when you say it and mean it. When you wake up and the city feels less like a maze and more like a home. When the language that was a wall becomes a window. And when that day comes, say this phrase out loud. To someone, to anyone, because it marks something real.
The day the wall becomes a window. Write that down, Calm Crew. That is what you are working towards.
Your challenge this week, and I want you to really sit with this one for a moment.
This week, Think back to your own first month. In a new country, a new city, a new job, a new school, anywhere where you felt like a stranger. And I want you to think of one moment. One specific moment where you felt completely lost.
And then, I want you to comment below and finish this sentence. My hardest moment was... Just one sentence. You don't have to explain the whole story. Just the moment.
Because here's what happens when you share that. When you put it into English words, even imperfect ones, two things occur. First, you process something you might have been carrying alone. And second, someone reading your comment will feel less alone with their own moment.
That is the power of this community. You are not just learning English here. You are building something together.
I want to say something to anyone who is in their first month right now. Anyone who is in the middle of it. The confusion, the exhaustion, the loneliness.
We're listening.
You chose something hard. And that means you are someone who believes that hard things are worth it. That belief, that quiet courage, is the thing that will carry you through. Not perfect English, not knowing every word, just that belief.
The language will come. It always comes. One episode at a time. One conversation at a time. One phrase at a time.
And we will be here every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 3 p.m., giving you one more phrase, one more story, one more reason to keep going.
That is episode 15. Done. If this episode hit you somewhere deep, please share it. With someone who just moved somewhere new. With someone who is struggling with the language. With someone who needs to know they are not alone.
Subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss an episode.
Something very special is coming on Monday. We've been planning it for a while, and I think, honestly, it might be one of the best things we've made.
Monday, 3 p.m. Don't miss it. Bye for now, Calm Crew.
See you Monday. And remember, the wall becomes a window. Always.